Are you looking to join Cycling Men of Leisure for one of our rides in 2025? We've got a few things on our schedule.
That's right. We'll be attending Big Bragg and also the Bourbon Country Burn.
Big Bragg is in Georgia and Bourbon Country Burn's in Kentucky. Both places are going to be absolutely beautiful. We're going to have teams for both of those events. If you're looking to join us on our team, just send us a message. We'll tell you what to do.
So come on out. It's going to be a good time.
Absolutely.
Well, it's time for Road Adventures with Cycling Men of Leisure, the podcast for cyclists who understand that riding is not just about getting to the destination, but the experience along the way. Now, here are the original Cycling Men of Leisure, Adam and Michael.
Hey, buddy. Good to see you again.
Good to see you too, Adam. What you been up to?
Getting ready for a little R&R, heading down to Mickey Land and Universal Land with the wife, and then a work conference and packing and all that good stuff. What about you?
Going to your house with a mouse, huh?
Well, my other house has mice, but that's okay. So,
well, right there with you nowadays. No, just school stuff's been going on, and running kids here, running kids there, that kind of thing.
Good. Well, you and I started this whole process, this whole idea, and in the middle of Georgia is where it started, and then it kind of grew some legs under Cycling Men of Leisure.
Mm-hmm.
And we sort of got called out by a few of our fans and said, you should...
We got called out, all right.
We, even though we were married men and you have a family with kids, people were like, oh, this is a chauvinist pig show. And so we decided to change the name to Cycling Men of Leisure. It's for women too. And then last year in Georgia, we had a spinoff and we actually created Cycling Women of Leisure. And I think today is a perfect time that this show should be dedicated to let everybody know that Cycling Women of Leisure is alive and well as well. So, and to do that, I think there's no better way than to have a woman on. So I've lined up something today for us, and we have our friend Sara from Atlanta. And
Excellent.
Sara, we'd like to welcome you to the show.
Hello.
Welcome, Sara. Thanks for being here.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
I am, in fact, a woman.
You are.
Who cycles?
You do, and I felt bad. Recently we gave her a T-shirt, and I was honored by the way that you wore it on a bike ride. And trust me, when I told Michael, I said, "Man, I wish we had a Cycling Women of Leisure T-shirt with us." So that would have been more fitting for you. So next time I see you, I was gonna. Please do. I would hold me to that. So we'll make that come true for you. So.
Just let me give some backstory. We actually met Sara last year in 2002 in Georgia.
Well, 22, but sure, you go with that.
2000, yeah, you know what I meant. 22.
That's the same. It's the same.
Yeah. And then we ran into her again in Kentucky last year, the Bourbon Country Burn.
Yep.
And then we saw her again in Georgia, and then we just recently saw her in Kentucky. So we've actually had the opportunity to hang out and ride with Sara on several occasions.
We sure have. And we got to meet Sara's mom and all of us.
Yeah.
And her dog.
And the dog. and the bar that some say was riddled with COVID, but that's not important right now. So I did not come away with that with COVID.
Did not get COVID.
So, but many did, so that's all right. But it was an excellent ride. Got to meet a lot of wonderful people that we've seen many trips. So when doing these kinds of events and meeting people, it's amazing that things that people will randomly say that just Michael and I will just tune in on. And Sara, you said something. I'm going to let you tell your own story, but you said something around the campfire when we were recently in Kentucky, and you said, yeah, I rode my bike across the country and I built houses at the same time. And Michael and I looked at each other. We're like, that could be an interesting story. And so
we looked at each other and we thought, let's be honest. We're like, really? Is she joking with us or is she being serious? honestly, Sarah, I apologize. We thought when you said it, you were actually joking. So,
well, I mean, it wouldn't be the weirdest thing somebody has said to me.
so, but we found out that she was not joking, in fact.
So tell us a little bit. I mean, you told me I had some questions in, but obviously when you have a podcast, no one was there for our conversation, so it doesn't work very well. First of all, can you tell us what Bike and Build was?
Sure. Bike and Build is its own 501c3 organization that raises funds and awareness for affordable housing. They started with one route that went from east to west, and the most amount that they had was actually 8. Going from east to west, the year I did it was 8, and then they went down to 5 and 3. And at this point, they have essentially dissolved, which
Wow.
is sad. But we have a Bike and Build alumni group on Facebook, and it's fairly active. I've met some random people in Atlanta. I've ridden the Silver Comet when Bike and Build came through Atlanta. I've rode with stranger Bike and Build people that I didn't know. I sponsored a Bike and Builder once. I was kind of his confidant. Could ask me questions, advice, et cetera, et cetera. And so me and two other Bike and Builder alumni are going to be doing the Fuller Center ride in June of 2024.
Cool. So for anyone who doesn't know, what she's saying is she basically the entire United States, the route that you did when you did it the first time, did you cross the entire?
It was South Carolina, Santa Cruz. However, we did not go straight, which, I think a lot of times is a metaphor for my life. So we started in started in Charleston and went through Georgia, then Panhandle, Oklahoma, Texas, which is awful, by the way. There's not a single tree. It's so hot. You get you're dreading getting a flat tire because there's just nowhere to change it. Then we hit the corner in New Mexico and started going north.
Okay.
And at that rate, we climbed through the Rockies, Independence Pass. And then once we got into California, came down the coast and ended in Santa Cruz.
So while you were riding, then you would stop at certain towns. I mean, this was my questions to you when we were around the campfire that night. And because I was intrigued and I was wondering, I wasn't being insulting when I asked you, but I was wondering if you rode 60, 70 miles, then you got in a van and someone brought you back and you said, no, you actually were working on different houses.
Yes. And a lot of the riding was just to get to that next larger city to build.
Okay.
Our longest ride was 116 miles.
Wow.
You look on my Facebook, you'll see a picture of me and a bunch of people, and we look very delirious. It's been 12 years, and I still have not changed that picture because I just love it so much.
Is that the one with you and 4 ladies? There's 4 of you ladies, right? I think.
And I'm kicking a leg up or something.
Yep.
Yeah. We all have the matching jerseys. So that was, I barely remember even taking that photo. It was such a long day and it's hot and everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it was a life-changing opportunity for me. Bike and Build capped out at 27 years old or 28 years old. And you could be a ride leader between 25 and 28. Well, you could be a ride leader really at any time if you were qualified, but it was mostly marketed towards young adults. I was 25, turning 26. I was not a ride leader, but I was one of the elders because, it essentially caps out in your late 20s. And essentially, I can send you an article. Actually, it was an article in the Bergenfield newspaper, which is where I'm from in New Jersey. And basically, my friend sent me the link. She was working at the Sacramento Habitat for Humanity at the time, and a bunch of Bike and Builders rolled through. She was like, what is this? What's going on? This is cool. She looked it up. She sent me the link, and I pretty much said, when do we leave?
That's kind of like my story with Ragbri, except opposite. My buddy said, "Hey, what do you think about riding across?" Not Michael, a mutual friend of ours said, "What do you think about riding across the state of Iowa?" I said, "I think you're nuts," and now I've done it 5 times, so I think I'm the one who's
Oh,
nuts.
wow.
So that's how some of these things happen. You just never know what you're gonna do.
Yeah. I
So
think
the
it's,
Go
yeah.
ahead. I'm sorry. I apologize.
No,
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say there's something I was thinking about this weekend when I was writing was I kind of compare it to getting a tattoo. And I don't know if either of you have any or know people who have, but you're doing it and it's a little bit painful and it's super uncomfortable and you got to breathe through it. Then you want more.
Yeah, I get you.
And that's like the nature of cycling, I feel like sometimes.
And I think my comparison would be is I don't have tattoos. I know many people that do, but I'd like to say that this year's Ragbri was the same way. It was 500 miles across Iowa. Every day was just grueling hot, lots of miles. And I kept thinking, what am I doing out here? But there is no feeling that beats when you get to the end. You got your bike above your head and you're like, okay, I'm ready to do it again. So, okay. So how long did it take when you rode that and then you were building and stuff? What kind of timeline did you have to invest?
The entire program was 81 days on the road.
Wow.
We would have little drop boxes. My mom would send me little things. Sometimes she sent me a cute little dress one time in the mail. She knew I was wearing the same clothes over and over again. Some snacks. So I have a severe peanut allergy, which you guys know.
I definitely know that.
Yeah. And so that makes cycling of all trips, of all even day rides, can be a little bit complicated. I carry a lot of my own food, et cetera, et cetera.
You have to be careful of brag. Like when we do brag and they always have the peanut butter, do you have to be really like separate yourself from?
Yeah. So, our dear friend Walter, he calls it peanut butter timeout. So he will put himself away from me, which I, of course, I'm like, I can move away. I'm the one with the allergy.
He's a good guy, though. He's
good Walter.
He's the class.
And it's just become a thing. And honestly, even we were at Spring Tune-Up and he had a friend come over and she was eating, I can't even remember what. And he was like, "Uh-oh, you got to go in timeout. You got to go in timeout." And she's like, "What did I do? It kind of gives the situation levity, even though for me it is very, high anxiety. It's dangerous. Bike and build, aside from riding, I lost a ton of weight.
I would imagine being on the road and building houses and being active, I would imagine that.
Yeah, but even not eating probably appropriately.
Yeah.
Because my diet is a little bit restricted. But anyway, yeah, it was 81 days on the road. And
how many days would you say that you were building houses or helping build? Or
if I remember correctly, it was like 16 to 18 build days.
Wow. Okay.
7 of those was a blitz build in Colorado Springs.
Okay.
And so about a week before we got there, the northern route had pumped through Colorado Springs and laid the foundation.
Okay.
Got sat and settled. And then our group came in and built for 7 days with about 40 people. Because we were in one location for so long, was a good opportunity for some parents and family members to come out and visit.
That's cool.
So my mom actually came to build. There were a couple other parents that did come to build. My mother is actually still friends with Sandy and on Facebook, who is the woman who we built the house for, and her son was 7 at the time, and so now he's driving.
That's awesome.
Which is so crazy. Yeah, so it was just a very, very overwhelming experience.
I can imagine, and obviously helping out people who are not as fortunate as others, and doing something like that is obviously always makes you feel good in the pit of your soul, and so that's really cool. Okay, so you are crazy enough, just kidding, I do the same kind of stuff, but you're crazy enough to ride your bike 81 miles across the country, you're helping build, and then
81 days.
81 days.
Oh, 81 days. Sorry about that. And then yeah, 81 miles. Yeah, right. Wish you lay it down for a little bit, but then obviously you're staying connected with some of the alum, and now you're doing something again. On behalf of Adam
and Michael,
we both want to say thank you
for your support.
Yeah, so I put a little post on Facebook with this, and basically saying that, you get nervous and you start sweating a little bit, and you put in your credit card, and you're like, what am I doing? Like, I don't even know what my job is going to let me do, or so I'm in a contracted position right now that ends this year. So here we go.
Nice.
It's like, I don't, if when I'm interviewing, I'll just be like, hey, I'm doing this thing. But if I have to work around a job, then this is just what's happening, because this is something that I've been wanting to do forever. But I would be remiss to not mention that we did actually, unfortunately, lose somebody on that bike and build trip. And she's somebody that I think about quite often when I'm on the road. And so not only am I nervous about how my life or my financial situation will look and how it will impact, taking a week and a half off to go across the country and ride my bike and be back in this environment where I'm raising funds and awareness for people to have homes. But I also had this whole full body rush of like sort of feeling her presence and knowing that like she would be proud of me, and that I'm getting back out and going back to, this orientation of service that I feel like has been a part of me for so long.
And forgive me, did we lose her on a bike? She
was hit in Alabama. Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that. I really am.
Thank you. And unfortunately, she was not the only one. So we have a jersey that has the initials of a few of the riders that we've lost. And I think, not to take a total turn in this conversation, but I think as cyclists, as being on two wheels, I feel like we've probably all known somebody, even if it's remotely adjacent to our lives, that unfortunately had terrible accidents. So even in these moments where my back's hurting or our butts are on fire or legs are on fire, like, we're still here doing this and doing it in a reflection of a way that these people can't.
I would agree. I mean, and yes, I mean, I can speak for myself, and I can't speak for Michael. We've never actually talked about that, but yes, I do know a few people that have unfortunately.
Oh yeah.
We had a terrible thing here happen in Michigan, where they do a wonderful donation raising money for. We had a Make-A-Wish from Traverse City coming down to near Ypsilanti, and unfortunately, this woman was intoxicated and took out 3 cyclists recently. And so, definitely, and our good friend who we rode across Michigan was literally right there. Michael Jacob was within maybe 10 feet from where the car was. And so,
oh, really?
Yeah, he just recently got back from court where she was prosecuted. And of course, it seems like every one of these, the punishment was not stiff enough, if you ask me. It was, so it always seems to be
a trend.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, well.
So yeah, so now we're going at it again.
Yeah. But and I don't think I think any cyclist who does these on the road rides thinks about that. I mean, all kinds of crazy stories that we could have, and that's the one thing I will tell you about Bourbon Country Burn is I felt this year was only, I mean, of the 2 years I did this year, there was a couple times that got really scary. There were cars really close, and that one guy had to lock up, if you remember, Michael, and I kind of got scared. And so, you can have all the safety devices and radars and computers and lights and everything.
Yeah. I mean, I got hit 3 blocks from my house in a bike lane.
Wow. Yeah, I just think friends of cyclists will go all the way around you, and people who hate cyclists will go right next to you. So,
you can always tell. You can always tell. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so you've decided to go back and a part of me says, good, I'm glad you are, because you wouldn't want that to be your legacy to say, I'm not going to do that anymore. You're almost writing in honor of those that we've lost as well, as far as I'm concerned. So the total route of the ride that you're doing, first of all, the ride that you're doing, is that the Fuller Center Bike Adventure? Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Okay. And so the route is separated by different pieces, and you've decided to do the first hand of the route.
Yes. Yeah. Will be Moab, Salt Lake City.
Cool.
And another bike and builder from my route from SC to SC, which was South Carolina, Santa Cruz. Her name is Sara. She is joining me as well.
Cool.
And so we've been chatting about it, and I haven't seen her in 12 years. And so it'll be a nice little reunion as well.
We are definitely going to have to get you Cycling Women of Leisure T-shirts for your trip. So we're also going to be in the show notes of this show. We're going to be sharing your fundraising link, and so if you are inspired by what Sara is doing and Sierra and some of their friends, we will put the link here for you are a quarter way there to your goal. Doesn't mean that it has to stop there. Of course, we can push the followers, listeners, and a lot of our friends that we all know together listen to this show. And so, guys, ladies, go donate, give what you can, make a little donation here.
Thank you, everybody.
Absolutely. Okay, so the route that you've decided to do, estimated mileage is, I think you said 261.
261 is what she said.
261.
Yeah.
That is. So if someone were to do the whole thing and they wanted to do it, you said it crosses 4 states when we were talking to you earlier.
I think it said 4 states and 1,300 miles.
Man.
That's in 4 weeks.
See,
it ends in Columbia Falls, Montana.
Okay, so we've got a ride coming up. And what time of year is this? I'm so sorry, I did not know that.
It's Memorial Day weekend.
Memorial Day weekend. And people can still sign up for this.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, that's kind of interesting. So you have used a photograph when you were in Paris, Kentucky. I have been to that Eiffel Tower there. So
that is a famous spot for me and my crew.
I know it is. Usually,
that's the location that Juan, our friend, and you and I, Adam, actually called Armando from.
Yes,
2 years ago.
Well, he was overseas, so
we called him from that location to say, "Hey, we're in Paris." He wasn't,
and then he was there this year.
Yeah, exactly.
He was there this year. So, yes, unfortunately, we didn't get to see Juan. I think Juan was actually overseas. So, or I don't know if I have that right. I thought he was overseas. So he missed out.
Rumor had it he was in Portugal or somewhere. So who knows?
Well, he obviously wasn't with us.
Juan. He comes to Miles and Mimosas.
Well, you had mentioned the Comet Trail, and Juan had taken me on the Comet Trail. So that was kind of cool. I thought it was neat that there was a restaurant halfway through. We stopped and had a little sandwich. Guy came over.
Rock
Yeah, that was, I mean, that's beautiful trail system right there. So,
yeah.
The other thing I wanted to bring up is that you're riding what they call the Wild West segment or route. They actually have 4 other routes that people could choose from too if they didn't want to just go into Idaho and Montana and Utah. So
there's a Natchez Trail.
There's one down in Florida, a tour to Florida. There's actually also one you mentioned the Silver Comet. They do the Silver Comet Trail. So There's some other options if people are interested, or you can just do the big one, which is Seattle to DC.
Yeah, and the
Well,
Silver Comet one is only like a week long or 9 days. So if people are not trying to commit to, going all the way across the country or, taking a month off from their jobs, then there's definitely local options as well, local and shorter.
so forgive me on the Silver Comet Trail, just in case someone's listening to this and they were interested in that. We actually met two ladies who had a full set of gear, and they said they were going all the way. I only was there as a guest of one. How far does the Silver Comet go? Does it go into multiple states?
It goes to Alabama. It goes to Anniston.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I've done an out and back where we went all the way out to Anniston and slept like at a bed and breakfast and then came back. Now there is a campground at mile 34 and Atlanta Cycling Festival. Actually, Walter was just there this weekend. Atlanta Cycling Festival does an out and back camping trip where you go out to mile 34 and you camp and they have food and beer and everything. And then in the morning you come back.
That sounds right up our alley. Beer
It's
and
so
relaxation. And
It's so good. Fire, and they did yoga one year, and 2 years in a row it poured rain, which was like even more fun somehow. And everyone just was like, smelled like smoke when we got home because the fire was burning. We were drying all of our wet clothes over the fire. I think I washed my jacket like 6 times and it still smelled like smoke.
yeah, I remember back in the old days when you could still smoke in restaurants, we'd go out and have a sports jacket or something because I went to military school. You come back, you'd hang it in the garage. You could hang it out in the garage for weeks. It would still smell like smoke. So
yeah, thank God this was fire. So
good. Yeah, a lot different.
Figuring I probably would have thrown it away.
Now, I have $1 million question for you.
Uh-oh.
This is Memorial Day weekend, and we have ridden with you in the great state of Georgia, and we are considering coming back to Georgia for Big Bragg. My question is that this big ride is happening Memorial Day weekend. What are the chances that we would see you at Big Bragg?
What are the dates for Big Bragg?
I knew you were going to ask me that. I think it's the 2nd through the 9th. I should have been prepared.
So this is the 31st to June 9th. And then you want to talk about crazy? I'm actually going on a Grecian Turkish cruise with my family, and I leave June 11th.
I'm going to say the chances of us seeing you, because Big Bragg, they're stating on the website, is June 1st through 8th, 2024. And so I think that's going to be a big...
I definitely wouldn't see you.
Yeah. Nope, but that's all right. So we're thinking about it, bringing...
tuna. Come for spring tuna.
Yeah, I've been receiving...
We've thought about it.
Yeah, we've gotten messages behind the scenes, but... It's like, for me, it's a 12-hour drive. What is it for you, Michael?
I think it's like 15.
Yeah, so it's like, if we drive because we camp, that's a pretty decent drive for a 3-day. And by the way, even though it rained, it was still fun to see everybody.
So fun.
It was definitely a good time.
And the music is always good.
Definitely. I mean, he puts on doesn't hurt that he used to put on music, events and stuff. So he definitely does a great job. He being Franklin, if anyone is interested in the Bragg organization, they do a phenomenal job. So, well, I appreciate you coming on with us. Michael, what have I missed? I know I've missed a few things. So,
no, I think you touched on most everything. We just found it fascinating when you brought that up, that you had cycled and built homes and things of that nature. And it's interesting to actually go in and look about your new adventure here and see all the different options. So, no, I don't think I have anything else, but it's been fantastic finding out about these new rides. That's one of the things that we're always interested in seeing and hearing about is different rides that we had no idea even existed. We've been doing this for years, never heard of these rides before. So it's always awesome to hear new rides, and you never know, we might get ambitious one of these days and ride, do a little building.
I appreciate you guys, because sometimes I feel like it was so long ago that it's nice to bring it back to life and talk about it. Because, right after I was done, everyone was like, what? Are you serious? You're crazy. What do you mean? What are you talking about? But then, it sort of becomes old news. So
Yeah, I would agree. I
I love
mean, just
talking about it. So
yeah, to be honest, the same thing for me with Ragbri. In the back of my office and where I work, I've got a map of Georgia and these push pins of every like overnight town that we've done both the big brags and spring tune-up, and then I also have Iowa and all the towns that we stayed over, and I call it like my command center. It's just fun, something to do.
that's cool.
Every time I have a Zoom meeting, people are like, why is there a map of Iowa behind you? And when you tell people like you who rode across the country, which is a lot further than Iowa, by the way, but when you tell people, oh yeah, I rode my bike across the state of Iowa, it's the different reactions that you get is really interesting. Some people are like, you're nuts, or you're crazy, or does your butt hurt? Or I'm like, well, actually, as a matter of fact, it did. So,
or it's like, well, it's flat, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Everyone always says Iowa's flat.
Everybody assumes that.
And so I think the same thing for me where, the first year I came home and I told my wife, I'm like, I don't ever have to do that again. That's something I won't do. And 2 years later, there we were.
He called me 2 years later. It's like, hey, let's go ride Iowa again. Okay.
I must have got hit with the funny gas or something, but
yeah, you needed to get another tattoo.
That's right. Exactly. Same thing. If Ragbry's tattoo, I do have big posters. Does that count? No, just kidding.
No.
So, well, we are definitely going to share your link. If anyone is interested in the Fuller Center Bike Adventure, the website that they have is my.fullercenterbikeadventure.org. But we are actually going to share your personal fundraising link in the show notes. So please go click on it. Don't stop what you're doing. Go right to the show notes right now. Click on it. Make a donation for Sara. Sarah is one of our friends that we're proud to call you a friend, Sara. So
help Sara out.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Well, the only other thing I would say is, Michael.
Well, what is today, Sara?
It's a great day for a bike ride.
Absolutely.
Yes, it is. Awesome.
Thank you for coming along with Adam and Michael on Road Adventures with Cycling Men of Leisure. If you have enjoyed this, please subscribe to the show on the podcast app of your choice.
Hey, we just wanted to remind you that we've got some really cool products at our jersey and our swag store.
That's right. You can visit cyclingmenofleisure.com. At the top of the page, you'll find our stores page. Click there. There's 2 QR codes. The one on the left has a J on it. That's the store for the jerseys. The one on the right is just a swag store. Has all kinds of different items. Kind of customizable. You can kind of make the swag the way you want it. If the QR codes are giving you an issue, don't worry. Underneath, there's 2 buttons that you can click on. Thank you, and have a great day.